Hello, everybody. Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Terry Stiles.
I'm Jim Hughes, and coming up on this edition of Oxford News This Week, yes, spring is in the air. Your tax dollars at work, they kind of simultaneously go together. And 42 Strong is now delivering meals.
All that and more. The Oxford News begins right now. In the village of Oxford, Council approved two major technology upgrades aimed at improving operations and transparency. First, Council members voted to move forward with a new Graphics Information System, or GIS, from Hubbell, Roth & Clark for up to $30,000. The village currently does not have a GIS system in place. The new platform will provide aerial imaging and mapping for storm drains, water and sewer systems, and streets, while also allowing crews to log maintenance in real time. Officials say the system will improve record keeping, assist with state reporting requirements, and strengthen preventative maintenance efforts. Hardware like iPads and GPS units would be additional costs. The project is expected to move forward this summer. Jim?
The Oxford Village Council has approved a $59,000 plus upgrade to the village's BS&A software cloud system. The cost built into the 2026-27 budget, while they move includes in fees about $16,500. Officials say switching payroll in-house and continuing local tax collection will actually offset much of that expense. The transition is expected to take 10 months, and all Michigan communities are required to move to the BS&A cloud platform by 2030. Village leaders say both investments will modernize services, improve efficiency, and better serve the residents. Terry?
The Downtown Development Authority is preparing for a busy summer season. Vendor applications are now open for the open air market at Washington Square, happening June 18th through July 16th and August 13th. Businesses can apply at downtownoxford.info. Board members approved more than $1,200 for red, white, and blue ground planters and nearly $2,000 for hanging flower baskets, tying into the America's 250th anniversary and Oxford's 150th celebration. The DDA also approved two sign grants totaling up to $2,000. One supports the transition from Aperion from information technologies to Ion Software Solutions at 144 South Washington Street. The other helps Foil Salon and Beauty Bar, formerly Caputo Salon, with a new sign. The DDA will cover up to 50% of each project. More information is available at downtown.info or by calling 248-628-9941. Jim?
In Oxford, students from the 42 Strong organization, the Tate Muir Foundation, took over operations at the community's free meals program. After training with volunteers, the teams managed orders, packaged groceries, and distributed meals to families in need. 42 Strong is a peer mentorship group focused on service and leadership and has previously supported free meals through food drives. The volunteer-run program provides 100 to 150 meals each week, along with pantry staples, monthly toiletries, operating on Wednesday evenings out of the Emmanuel Congregational United Church of Christ. Organizers say involving young people helps actually inspire lifelong service. For volunteer or making a donation, you can always contact that free meals program. Visit them or the 42 Strong Tate.org. Again, a very valuable organization, 42 Strong, and obviously the free meals program being helped with them. Terry?
Celebrating youth and community success in Oxford, Oxford Addison Youth Assistance held its annual meeting at Lake Point Community Church, highlighting a year of impact. In 2025, the group served 147 youths and families and launched hygiene closets in local schools with $2,500 in donations. OAYA also distributed more than 500 school supplies and 900 toys, expanding its mentoring program, awarded scholarships, recognized 44 students for character, and logged over 1,600 volunteer hours. Police Chief Mike Sowald received the Community Champion Award, thanking the community and calling its youth family. Let's watch.
You hit it right on the head though, as far as youth is our most important thing in the community. When I started here, right out of the academy, a full-time position came. I was working at Camp Oakland at the time. I was a child care worker at Camp Oakland at the time. I was waiting for a full-time position to open up, and I got a call from my captain. He says, "You still interested in the full-time position?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take it." He's like, "Well, I didn't tell you what it is." I'm like, "It's a police officer, right?" And I'm off the floors. I don't care. If it's full-time, I'll take it. Well, now that you got me wondering, what is it? "Oh, we're going to send you to the State Police Academy and learn DARE." I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" Right out of the academy, I had to go to the 2-week curriculum to learn DARE. And I tell you what, it's been usually in a program like that, it's usually on the other end of your career. But this opportunity for me was I got to know families and the kids then that are grown up now and have their own kids. So it's been a blessing for me to get to know those kids that are growing up, their parents or grandparents, which really is just a blessing for me just to know just a lot of different generations in this community. So I'm honored to be able to be a part of that in Oxford of all places. I mean, I grew up in Pontiac, and I was just glad to get on a police department somewhere. And when I was working at Camp Oakland, I said, "Gosh, does that police department even have does that town have a police department? Let me see if they got any." So I got in as a reserve. Back then, it was thousands of us applying for 2 positions, so it was really hard to get on. So I wanted to get on as a volunteer to show how dedicated I was, and gosh, it's worked out, and I consider all you guys my family. So thank you.
The American Legion Auxiliary Unit 108 recognized local first responders on Sunday at the Walter Fraser Post 108. After dinner, certificates were presented to the members of the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, Oxford Fire Department, Oxford Village Police Department. The top honors actually went to 6 individuals, including Detective Aaron Janes as Deputy of the Year and Reserve Deputy Robert Wallner, firefighter paramedic Edgar Sedano Rodriguez, and Lieutenant Ryan McLeod were recognized. The fire department's Sergeant Gary Rhodes and Reserve Officer Jeremiah Suzara received police honors. Organizers say the annual ceremony celebrates those who go above and beyond in service in the Oxford community. Terry?
And beyond our borders, the state of Michigan continues to face a housing shortage with debate over how to fix it. Developers cite slow, costly approval processes, while some communities resist new growth. Now, bipartisan legislation in Lansing, House Bill 5529 through 5532, would create uniform statewide zoning standards, allowing small lots, reduced setbacks and parking requirements, and duplexes in single-family neighborhoods, limiting some local control. More than 100 leaders voiced opposition at a recent SEMCOG conference, and over 1,300 officials signed a letter urging lawmakers to reject the plans. The bills are available online, and residents can contact State Representative Josh Shriver for more information. He's the representative for our area. The proposed legislation can be viewed at tinyurl.mvpfh2, the number 2, mj.com. Residents can contact State Representative Shriver at joshshriver@house.mi.gov. Jim?
Almost need a notepad when you're watching the
know.
newscast. Spring right around the corner, and spring cleaning fever is right behind it. We love that. Oxford Township has posted the 2026 again No Has Collection event, which will start on Saturday, April 18th, right at the Pine Knob Music Theater. We can call it Pine Knob again. June 13th at the Oxford Middle School. Saturday, August 1st, they'll be at Kensington Church, which is, of course, located at 4640 South Lapeer Road. 3 locations available there. And township, they'll be at the Township Saturday, September 12th, so actually 4 for the Oakland County Service Center campus on Telegraph. Again, if you'd like information on dropping your no-has, visit them, get the notepad out, nohas-.com for a list of member communities and fees. Terry.
And in our last story, there is a strong show of community support for local history in Oxford. Residents gathered for the presentation From Blue and Gray to Quiet Graves, a community history talk highlighting Oxford's Civil War veterans. The event was part of a library's America 250 celebration and drew an enthusiastic crowd. Board member Drew Holt and Jim Latola of the Northeast Oakland Historical Society led the program, sharing the stories of Oxford men who served in the Civil War and reflecting on the legacy they left behind. Organizers extend a special thanks to the Oxford Public Library and to everyone who attended, saying community interest and engagements are what keep local history alive. Agreed.
Exactly.
I can't agree more.
You know, there's one thing about the Civil War. If you remember that Ken Burns documentary, there was that, which always, I don't know how many times I've heard this thing, but one of the soldiers, Sullivan Ballou, wrote a letter back to his wife. And if you hear that, I mean, and the guy that did the narration in there, just, it'll touch your heart. I mean, it's just like, I've seen it 1,000 times, and I'm like, I'm not going to well up this time, and I do. Anyways, yeah, good that the library does those programs. That's kind of cool. Obviously, March, National Reading Month. That's right up your bag. What's in the forte? What are you doing now?
Right now I'm reading a book. It's about adventures of Sherlock Holmes'
Oh, you said that last, so you're still on that one.
No, that was her sister. Now I'm reading one about his daughter.
Oh, yeah,
And,
wow, the Holmes family
she
into
happened to marry Dr. Watson's son, John. So
boy, that had
it's
to
an
go well.
exciting one. But let me say something about keeping local history alive.
Yeah.
OCTV since 1985 has been the recorders of this community's history.
Right.
And without fail, really. I mean, there's been very few hiccups on OCTV's part. And I just want to say how proud I am of our current staff. And basically, the staff that we have been here in one form or another this entire time. And I don't feel like OCTV is shouted from the rooftops enough. I'm sorry, I just needed to say that. OCTV loves this community. We do everything for this community, whether we get paid or not.
Right.
I just had to go on that rant.
So, so she's still reading something about Sherlock Holmes. I didn't know we were going there, but anyways, no, really, no, but no, we're all proud of that, what we do in the community here, and again, we are proud that you're watching this, and hopefully we'll be able to continue. Coming up, though, we still have more of the newscast to get through. Dave Kenny's got Auto Talk. I know he's got it. Every time I see him in a tie, we know that's happening. I'll have a brief look at sports, and I'll tell you, Oxford sports are doing really well, and Terry and I will close it all out on this very edition of the proud Oxford Community Television.
And I promise I'll settle down.
We'll be right back with more.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from Automotive News. In our first story, Ford Motor Company is recalling 4.3 million pickups and SUVs in the U.S. because a software error may cause trailer brakes not to function and exterior lights to fail. The recall covers the 2021 to 2026 F-150 and the 2022 to 2026 F-250 SD, Lincoln Navigator, Expedition, Maverick, along with some Ranger and E-Transit vehicles. When towing a trailer, the integrated trailer module may lose communication with the vehicle, potentially causing a loss of brake and turn signal lights or a loss of brake function. Ford will address the issue with an over-the-air software update. NHTSA said trailer lights or brakes that do not function can reduce the driver's ability to control the trailer, increasing the risk of a crash. Ford said it's aware of 407 incidents that may be related to the recall issue. Ford and NHTSA discussed the issue during a monthly meeting in December, and Ford in January reopened its investigation in consideration of NHTSA's views. Ford said it is unaware of any crashes tied to the recall issue. And still at Ford, buyers of the Ford Mustang Mach-E now have to pay extra if they want to put some junk in the frunk. The 2026 model of the electric crossover no longer offers a front trunk as standard equipment. Instead, it's a $495 option, though the starting price of the vehicle has been lowered $150 to make up for the lost under hood storage. We were learning that customers were using their frunk, but perhaps not as much as we had originally intended, Teddy Ackeny, Ford's Mustang Mach-E brand manager, told the electric duo on YouTube. So in order to kind of preserve that customer choice, we made it optional for the 2026 model year. Ford, Tesla, and other automakers have long touted the utility of their electric vehicles' front trunks, which turned the space where the engine normally would go into a storage compartment. Shortly after releasing the Mustang Mach-E in late 2019, Ford put out a news release demonstrating how the 4.8 cubic foot frunk could be packed with ice to tailgate with crudités or cocktail shrimp and then emptied via a built-in drain. Alternatively, Ford suggested filling the space with more than 1,000 chicken wings and spraying it down after the game with a hose. However, the vehicle lost 40% of its capacity for shellfish and poultry on the 2025 model because Ford needed to fit in a larger heat pump. Ford Authority reported in November that the automaker had decided to remove the standard frunk for 2026, though the price of the option was not revealed until now. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
In today's digital world, it's hard to know who to trust. Your local TV and radio stations bring you the facts. Misinformation and deep fakes flood social media, but broadcasters deliver verified and accurate news. For news, emergency updates, sports, and entertainment, turn to your local stations. Text TV to 52886 and urge Congress to support the vital local journalism broadcasters provide.
Welcome back to Oxford News This Week. Time for Oxford Sports. The Oxford girls bowling team is the 2026 regional champion. After taking first place in Region 3, the team will now advance to the MHSAA State Finals. Congratulations going on to the entire team. Congratulations also going on to boys wrestling. Heading to the Ford Field for the MHSAA Individual State Finals. Some of the regional champions, Gavin Lewis, Finn McDivitt, second place. Liam Samborski, second place. Landon Johnson, third. Connor Stokes had third. Gavin Munson, third. And Brendan MacArthur at a fourth place finish. Girls wrestling also fared well. Congratulations. A lot of great things happening in the wrestling mat. Headed to Ford Field as well for the championship and state finals. Some of the regional champs, Cheyenne Frank, regional champion. Jax McFarland, regional champion. CC Frank, she took second. And Harmony Gonzalez at second place. Let's get over to the pool right now. Swimming and diving, the Golden Kickboard Alert. Yes, that's something they give out when you have your birthday. Congratulations this time going out to Nathan Laguest on his remarkable progress. Highlights will include some of the sixth place finishes at the Oakland County Championship. His personal best was 6 dive score, 196 at senior night. Nathan also contributed to B200 free relays, third place finish, and clocked at 106 with the 100 free. Girls basketball faring well. Girls basketball scored the OAA Red League win over Lake Orion, the rival, 28-26. That was a buzzer beater. Completing season's sweep, the return to action against Grand Blanc at the Ian Smith Gymnasium coming up. This just came in. Oxford girls basketball picking up a victory just the other day against Davison. That score there, 56-32. Boys doing really well. The boys basketball team has had an incredible run. They defeated Holly with a final score of 61-35. Upset the top-seeded Grand Blanc at 45-43 at the home, and they became district champions 56-52. That win over Davison. The team claimed the 2026 District 25 championship. That's the first time in 100 years that they were able to complete that. Thank you to the Oxford community and the Oxford students from the Oxford basketball team. They definitely said they couldn't have done it without their fans. That's going to wrap it in sports. We have another segment coming up with Dave Kenny, and Terry and I will finish it out right here on Oxford News This Week.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from New Scientist. Sea levels around the world are much higher than we thought. Almost all research on the impacts of future sea level rise has assumed today's sea levels are lower than they actually are due to a methodological blind spot. That means flooding and erosion will happen sooner than expected. Katharina Seeger and Philip Mindenhout, both at Wageningen University in the Netherlands, analyzed 385 peer-reviewed studies on coastal vulnerability and found that 90% failed to consider the effects of ocean currents, tides, temperature, salinity, and winds at sea level. As a result, they underestimated the water level at the coast by an average of 24 to 27 centimeters. Once corrected, the number of people whose homes will be underwater by 2100 could increase by up to 68%, or 132 million additional people. The bulk of them are in Southeast Asia and Oceania, where sea levels are on the average 1 meter higher than previously thought, and several meters in some areas. But if a representative from a place like that comes to a global gathering and tries to gather support, it can be quite frustrating if there's this type of scientific assessment that actually says it will only be affected in the next century, while in reality the area is actually much more exposed, says Mindenhout at a briefing. Projections that sea levels will rise by up to 1 meter by the end of the century are still accurate. But since most of the research on the consequences of the rise started with a baseline that was too low, these impacts will happen sooner than forecast. 46 of the studies, which were cited in the latest round of reports by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the most authoritative statement on warming effects, including sea level rise. Earth bulges at the equator due to its rotation, and denser parts of its mantle exert a greater gravitational pull on any water above them. So determining the elevation of a given point requires a computer model of the geode, an irregular shape that represents mean sea level around the world. But actual sea level can be several meters higher than the geode in places where winds or currents pile up water, for example, or where warmer temperatures cause water to expand. And coastlines can move up and down as rivers build up sediment or cities suck groundwater out from underneath them. Rather than figuring out the elevation of water and land at the coast by comparing satellite measurements with the geode, the majority of researchers simply use the unadjusted geode sea level. And even those who did the calculations mostly botched them, often because they determined land and sea elevations with different geode models. Less than 1% of the studies found the correct current sea level for the coastlines they were studying. Climate scientists and oceanographers who study sea level rise should work more closely with the geographers, environmental scientists, and others who study coastal impacts, as Matt Palmer at the Met Office, the UK's National Weather Service. The problem is one of climate justice, says Palmer. Underestimates of sea level have been particularly egregious in parts of lower income countries such as river deltas in Africa and Asia, partly because data on variations in gravity is sparser there, making the geode less accurate. But these are also the areas most vulnerable to sea level rise. The scientific community should gather more data in lower income countries, especially by installing tide gauges to measure sea levels, says Joanne Williams at the UK National Oceanography Centre. And the work goes on. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny.
You know the national parks, but you may not know that they're supported by a strong foundation. A foundation for the future. We are the National Park Foundation. And together with your support, we are building a bold future where national parks are vibrant, protected, and welcoming. Today, tomorrow, forever. Learn more at nationalparks.org/foundation.
And in our Behind the Lens segment, oh yes, it's hard to, I had to look this up myself. 100 years between district championship for the Oxford basketball team. Pictured here from 1926, Oxford's championship district, and from, of course, this year, 2026, Joe Fedorenchik and the Oxford Wildcats kind of unique, 100 years apart, and the championship for the district champs. Good, congratulations going out to Oxford's basketball teams 100 years ago, and of course, right now. As I said the last time we had our newscast hearing, if you are a streamer, we got to come up with some kind of a funding where we could take some money if people wanted to make a donation.
Yes, absolutely. And so we're looking at creating a GoFundMe page, because we want to stay in this community, and I'm pretty sure you guys want us to stay here too, because when we do miss something because I don't have enough staff,
Right.
we get the phone calls. So
Right.
I know you want us here. We're coming up with that. We're coming up with sponsorships.
Yeah.
If you want to sponsor any production whatsoever.
I go back to the company that didn't have to sponsor, and they did for many years, Barron Industries,
Yeah.
who, I mean, they really had no horse in the race, and I called them and they're like, yep, we want to be part of the community.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're going to keep talking about it until
Yeah.
the light stays on or the light stays off. We hope the light stays on. Again, for everybody here at OCTV, you can view us on the ones that pay, Spectrum Charter Channel 191, also Channel 99 on the AT&T UVerse system. Now check us out on YouTube, which is a giveaway, Facebook, Rumble, Amazon Fire Stick, and the Roku app, which obviously are streamers. If you have a show idea or would like to volunteer, maybe you are good with funds, maybe you could get us a grant, contact our office, OCTV, give our office a call at 248-628-9658. Very special thank you going out to producer director Kyle Snage today, station manager Terry Stiles, who definitely believes in the station. We know that. For everyone here at OCTV, I'm Jimmy. Hoping you have a safe week. I'll invite you back next time. And again, both Terry and I will take a look at Oxford News this week.